Hello everyone, I'm Babla Jonathan and this is the 6 p.m. primetime newscast over Equinoxe television. We are coming to you from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. And our top stories in this news edition: kidnappings of herders and cattle traders are on the rise in northern Cameroon, creating growing insecurity within the livestock sector. Stakeholders say the ransom-driven crime wave is disrupting livelihoods and taking a heavy toll on the local economy. Cameroon's electricity sector is under increasing strain as financial challenges continue to threaten the stability of power supply nationwide. To address the situation, the government is enforcing a stricter utility bill payment method, and the ministers of water and energy resources and communication outlined the measures during a press briefing in the nation's political capital Yaoundé yesterday, and that was during the press conference granted by the ministers of communication and the ministers of communication and water and energy resources in Yaoundé. And out of Cameroon, security forces in Niger have launched a large-scale operation to track down gunmen responsible for the deadly attack on Niamey's international airport that left at least 13 people dead. Those are top stories. Stay with us. Thank you for joining us in this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast over Equinoxe television. The livestock sector in northern Cameroon is facing growing security challenges as kidnappings of herders and cattle traders continue to increase. Perpetrators are demanding hefty ransoms, a situation that stakeholders say is disrupting livelihoods and weakening the local economy. Law Mayeru files in details in this report.
Areas between Cameroon, Nigeria and Chad, life is becoming very dangerous for cattle raiders. Criminal groups are constantly attacking them and asking for large amounts of money. Because of this danger, herders are afraid to travel to find food and water for their animals. As a result, there are fewer cows in the markets. This situation is affecting everyone. It now costs more money to transport and protect the animals. Because of this high cost, the price of meat in the markets is going up every day. Normal families can no longer afford to buy meat. Behind every kidnapping, a whole family loses its income and local economy suffers. To fight this problem, herders, traders and police recently met in the city of Kavra. They want to find ways to protect themselves, defend their rights, and make cattle travel safer. This meeting is part of the bigger project called PASCO. This project helps pastoral families in Cameroon, Chad and Nigeria to survive their security and economic crisis. For the raiders, the situation is urgent. They say that without real security from the government, they cannot produce food and save their business. Thousands of families are now waiting for help, hoping for a safer future.
The Minister of Water and Energy Resources of Cameroon, Gaston Elundu-Esomba, says measures have been put in place to ensure that both public and private institutions respect deadlines for settling utility bills. According to the minister, the move is aimed at improving the financial health of the utility company and guaranteeing more efficient electric energy distribution and water supply across the country. And the announcement was made during a joint press conference granted by the Ministers of Communication and Water and Energy Resources in Yaoundé yesterday. Mala Glory has greater details.
The joint press conference recently held in Yaoundé by the Ministry of Communication and the Ministry of Water and Energy focused on restructuring of Cameroon's electricity sector. This restructuring follows the official dissolution of Eneo Cameroon and the transfer of its assets to the newly created state-owned Cameroon Electricity Company, SOCADEL, via a presidential decree signed on May 4, 2026. The Minister of Communication, Rene Emmanuel Sadi, highlights the government's mission.
The mission of strengthening governance within the sector, sustainably improving the performance of electricity distribution, and better meeting the expectations of the population as well as the needs of the national economy.
According to the Minister of Water and Energy, Gaston Elundu Isomba, the energy sector has been plagued by severe structuring challenges that continue to compromise the effective distribution of electricity across the country.
Socadel was created in a context marked by a structural financial imbalance that had a lasting impact on the electricity sector. This imbalance was primarily caused by low distribution efficiency, high technical and commercial losses, fraud, low bill collection rates, late payment from public entities, and the use of short-term loans to finance investments.
In response to these challenges, the government has developed a comprehensive restructuring plan covering the 2026-2028 period.
The plan aims to increase sector revenues, reduce expenses, and implement high-impact priority actions.
Minister Elundu Isomba emphasized that for this recovering plan to succeed, boost the company's finance and ensure optimal operations, strict financial discipline is required. He noted that everyone will be expected to pay their bills, explicitly highlighting that public sector entities will no longer be exempted from timely payments.
Anyone who consumes electricity must pay for it. This requirement applies to all public service users, including public administration, regional and local authorities, public and private companies, and households.
While citizens await Socadel's planned action to upgrade the distribution network, replace outdated equipment, and modernize customer service, major cities across Cameroon continue to endure persistent power outages and severe shortages of potable water.
Young parliamentarians in the southwest region of Cameroon are raising their voices against violence targeting children. Members of the Parliamentary Youth Network took to the streets of the southwest regional capital Boy in a peaceful protest to advocate for stronger child protection and greater awareness of children's rights. Smart Njikan Gabriel has greater details.
Members of the Parliamentary Youth Network, made up of youth parliamentarians and senators, flooded the streets of Boya. Their message was clear. Placards read, "Not on our watch, not in our generation, the youth are up. The youth walk because the children can't talk. And it's time to end the silence."
We did this work to sensitize the community on the dangers of sexual assault, to let them know that we are the protectors of our children. We don't need to harm them. So we have to work together in solidarity to make sure that this issue on sexual assault is not going to be in the southwest region. And because we believe that we are the youth and we are over 60% of the country's population, we know that we can change the policies surrounding this sexual assault. And we believe that our declaration will go right up to the various ministries for them to be aware that the youth are saying no to sexual violence.
The group marched to the Southwest Regional Governor's office, where they submitted a declaration to a representative of the governor.
I am glad that not just women are the front, they also have youth, male that have accompanied them. It shows that it is a topical issue that has been disturbing the peace of our country. So this special moment, we want to encourage you all to keep on with this fight. We all have been seeing and hearing all what is going on in our country, how babies, children, teenagers have been going through trauma because of sexual assaults. And it is a common fight for all of us, not just the youth. So the government is doing all its best to make sure the perpetrators are brought to justice.
The Youth Network says they now expect concrete action from authorities Following their meeting,
we are happy because the youths came out in their numbers. We joined our voice in one accord to stand and fight against such an evil in our community. We, the children of Urban, we say no to sexual violence. We say no to sexual assault.
The demonstration adds to a growing wave of protest across the country, all demanding stronger protection for children. The call is for the government to respond.
And inhabitants of several parts of the Douala 4 subdivision are raising concerns about recurrent floods. They are raising concerns over recurrent floods hitting the areas of residents. Many of them find it difficult to live in some of the areas because of the flood that usually engulf those areas during the rainy season. Details with Cedric Chakutio.
Residents of Banso Quarter, a neighborhood in Bonaberi, Douala 4 subdivision, are denouncing recurrent flooding with properties destroyed, health risk, and daily life disrupted. Locals say they have had enough.
I came here since 2010, and by then they were not having this problem. But when they break us from inside there, then we came and relocate here. And since then, when rain falls like this, there's always water, and the reason is that when you look like this, down like this, you see that there are some blockages on the road that the water cannot flow easily.
From 2021, this water have been troubling us, but now these 2 years is terrible. But this year again, it seems like as a year is going by, we are suffering the more.
Despite numerous appeals to the local authorities, residents of Banso are still waiting for solutions and are calling for urgent intervention.
Well, my appeal is that the mayor can do something and come and see how we can drain the water so that people can live here peacefully.
As the rainy season intensifies, directive recently issued by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development calling for the clearing of drainage systems in Banso, the population continues to denounce the lack of sanitation infrastructure and demands concrete actions.
Now out of Cameroon, Niger security apparatus has begun a search for the gunmen who attacked the airport of the capital Niamey, and that was yesterday, killing at least 11 soldiers and 2 civilians. The group linked to Al-Qaeda claimed the airport attack. 22 of the attackers were killed in the process in a raid in the Diori Hamani International Airport in the country's capital Niamey. Residents said gunfire erupted early in the morning and rang out for hours near the airport, where a large military presence was later deployed. A military statement said that a large-scale operation by the Defense and Security Forces to track down and neutralize the remaining elements is underway. Niamey's Diori Hamani International Airport, which is fully secured, remains open to air traffic. Now elsewhere on the African continent, the African Union's Health Agency has revealed that the Ebola epidemic has claimed more than 200 lives in the Democratic Republic of Congo, a little above 1 month after it was declared. The Africa Center for Disease Control and Prevention said 202 people had died from the virus from 875 confirmed cases, giving a mortality rate of 23%. And the Red Cross warned this week that the outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo, declared on May 15, has yet to peak and could take a year to be contained. The response to the epidemic, the 17th to hit the vast Central African country, faces towering challenges. No approved vaccines or treatment exist for now for the Bundibuyo strain of the virus responsible for the current outbreak, and the 3 affected provinces in the Northern Democratic Republic of Congo, Ituri, North Kivu, and South Kivu, have long been gripped by conflict and mass displacement, complicating the response. And now in sports, the road to the 2026 FIFA World Cup continues to generate headlines both on and off the field or the pitch, from a record-breaking goal scored in just 5 minutes to the clearance of Ali Wahi, they represent Cote d'Ivoire. The tournament build-up is already packed with excitement and controversy. Sportsman Smart Jikangrebe now brings to us the smart side of the World Cup.
Cote d'Ivoire's forward Ali Wahi has been cleared to join his teammate in Canada ahead of their second group game. The 23-year-old was initially denied entry over sports betting case linked to a Nice-Metz match. A document from the Marseille prosecutor's office sent to Canadian authorities has now given him the green light. The Elephants face Germany on Saturday, June 20th, 2026 on the pitch. The records are falling fast. It took just 5 minutes and 7 seconds for Cheja's Mikael Sadilek to score against South Africa on Thursday. That strike now stands as the fastest goal of the tournament so far. South Africa's Teboho Mokoena also made history. His equalizer against Cheja ended a 16-year World Cup goal drought for Bafana Bafana. South Africa now needs a win against South Korea on the final match day to stay alive. Switzerland and Bosnia-Herzegovina played at Sophie Stadium, the most expensive venue in the competition. The stadium reportedly cost $5.5 billion to build and holds 70,492 fans. Off the pitch, new firsts. Mexico's Julian Quinones became the first Colombian-born player ever to score a World Cup goal for another country before Uruguay's opener against Saudi Arabia. Luis Diaz's father was seen praying over his son's jersey laid out on the bed. Luis Diaz went on to score in the match. And in Cabo Verde, goalkeeper Virginia's mother, Anna, is traveling to the US to watch her son. She missed his historic debut against Spain due to visa issues, but hopes to be in the crowd when Cabo Verde plays Uruguay next. More records and reunions expected as match day 2 continues.
Smanjikan Gabriel putting an end to the first part of this newscast. Talking point comes up next. Our guest today, Barrister Are Obenson, is a Cameroonian attorney at law, joining us from St. Louis, Missouri, United States of America. He serves as the president of the Chief Executive Officer, the president and Chief Executive Officer of the International Institute of St. Louis, a prominent immigrant and refugee service hub. He is a lawyer by training who practiced in the nation, in his home country, Cameroon, before traveling abroad, and he's a member of Project Cameroon, Project C initiative. Join us from the United States. Welcome, Barrister. Now, first question to you. Where is Issa Chiroma Bakari and what is he doing? Has he abandoned the people who saw in him the hope for change? You're in connection with him. Project C members are communicating with him. Tell us, where is Issa Chiroma Bakari?
So, for clarification purposes, Project C works for the people of Cameroon, and we mobilized, educated, and encouraged the Cameroonian people to go out and vote massively during the presidential election. We engaged with all the candidates, and through that transparent process, Issa Chiroma Bakari emerged as the candidate of the people and was duly elected. It was therefore logical that Project C, in all of its advocacy, continue to advocate for the person that is vastly deemed to have won the elections, that is, with documented evidence that he won the elections. But Project C does not necessarily work for the Chiroma. President Chiroma has his team of people that he works with, and I think they will be better placed to respond to that question. Do we communicate from time to time? Absolutely, yes. And he's still in the Gambia, and he still has plans to go back to Cameroon. But that's the most that I can tell you from that standpoint. We advocate for the people of Cameroon, and if the people's choice through the electoral process was Issa Chiroma Bakari, certainly we would want to see the people's voice or the people's choice put in place in Cameroon. But that tells you how complex our country is, that a process that was so clear and so that people came out passionately, people died in this process for their voices to be heard, for their choice to be made, disregarded by our government. And it's for this reason that we realize that changing Cameroon is more than just an individual. It's more than just changing who sits at the top. That there are fundamental issues in our country that must be resolved. Anything else is going to be a band-aid process. We're just going to fix today and kick the can down the road. We have realized that for the last 65 years, there are unresolved issues, and it is these unresolved issues that makes life difficult for every Cameroonian in every part of the country, that we have lost 7, 8, 10,000 people in a conflict that has lasted 10 years without resolution, that we started with this question of Boko Haram and it still goes on and seems to have been forgotten, that we still have people in our country, in the Eastern Province, who are living on trees, who don't have access to health care. The dignity of the Cameroonian is lost in this process, and this is more than just one position. This requires systemic change in our country.
You said Issa Chiroma Bakari is widely recognized as the one who won the October 12, 2025 presidential election, but the Constitutional Council, the body charged with the responsibility to declare the result, said that President Paul Biya won. He was sworn in, and is still in office. So I don't know if it is right to continue calling him president-elect. Now, Issa Chiroma Bakari has officially filed 2 criminal lawsuits in France against President Paul Biya and over 20 senior state officials. The complaints were formally registered at the Paris Judicial Court on June. Now, give us an understanding of this move by Issa Chiroma Bakari.
It's my understanding since the press conference that was held in Paris last December by a battery of lawyers working on behalf of the president-elect Issa Bakari Chiroma. They had at the time stated that they were working on this matter. They were putting together the necessary evidence that would, and they were going to file a complaint before a competent jurisdiction that would hold the government of Cameroon, and in this case President Paul Biya and certain leaders in the government responsible for the post-electoral oppression that took place against the Cameroonian people. As you would know, we counted 50 dead and over 2,500 arrested, including the death of the Union for Change president, and he said Ekane. So this action is actually brought before a court of competent jurisdiction that has historically assumed universal jurisdiction, and it brings charges against the government for gross violation of the human rights of people who were simply manifesting that their voices be heard through their voices not being heard through a democratic process that took place in Cameroon last October.
So as I said earlier, the president of Cameroon as of now, recognized within and out of Cameroon, is President Paul Biya has declared winner by the Constitutional Council, winner of the October 12, 2025 presidential election. And so, referring to Issa Chiroma Bakari as president-elect may have legal implications. However, let's proceed. Project Cameroon, also known as Project C, civil society platform, has embarked on a project codenamed A New Cameroon is Possible. When you speak to many Cameroonians, this looks like a far-fetched dream and even unrealistic to some, considering the current situation of the country and the trend it has taken for the past over 4 decades and more. What makes you so persuaded that a new Cameroon is possible?
What makes me convinced that a new Cameroon is possible is the story of Cameroon, right? It's the story of Africa to a certain extent. That we had 65 years ago, young people, not sophisticated, not educated, not as well traveled as we are today, who could dream of the independence of a country. They fought for it at a time when the odds were against them, when democracy was not a thing, human rights was still nascent in the global conversation. And yet they fought for their dignity, they fought for independence of a country. They had a big dream for this nation, Cameroon. The founders, whether on the east or on the west, they had big dreams. Their wish was for us Cameroonians to be independent, to be free, to prosper, where every child would have access to good quality education, healthcare, justice, a country that could serve as a beacon for Africa, with its Portuguese, German, English, and colonial and French colonial heritage. But that dream didn't prosper. It failed. Yes, we had independence, but were we truly independent is the question. Now, if they could do that at that time, we certainly can do it at this time. We are more educated, more well-traveled, more experienced, more connected. We can bring together our resources, not to fight, because we fought for too long. We've lost too many lives. But what if we came? I believe we can come together to talk to one another, to reconcile with our past, to heal a country that is plagued with so many vices. We could lay in place a foundation for a new beginning. I don't worry about how we implement it. What I worry for now is to create the opportunity for fellow Cameroonians, brothers and sisters, to come together to talk about the kind of country that we want, the Cameroon that we dream of. And we all have dreams. That's our hope. And that's why I believe it is possible, because if we can do that, it sets the basis for any new government, for any elected leader, for even the current government to be inspired by what Cameroonians feel and think about what they want for this country. Hopefully it does inspire everyone. This is the very little that our generation can do to contribute to the future of the next generation. I believe it's possible if we fix our minds to it.
There are online conversations on the issue, bringing together Cameroonians within or from across the globe every Saturday. How long do you intend to go with this? And what do you expect from Cameroonians at home and abroad?
Yes, it's every Saturday we keep this conversation going, and we've been doing this since July of 2025. So before the elections, we had been educating. We have learned in this process. So everything that we're doing is as a result of growth and learning. So whilst we're educating and inspiring, we too are learning from each other, and we're growing. Here's what we expect of every Cameroonian. Our wish for the first time in our history, we're calling it, this would probably be the largest civic engagement of Cameroonians in our history. Our wish would be that we're hoping about 1,000 delegates from across the country to meet somewhere, hopefully in Africa, for us to be able to review all of this information in a 3-day conference and present this to our fellow Cameroonians as our gift to our country. Can do that. Millions of us in the diaspora can do that. We will have all the resources to convene this constitutional conference to make sure that representatives of our traditional rulers of different sectors of society in Cameroon travel to be part of this constitution. We will sponsor their participation. But this is a commitment of a lifetime, that and history in the making. We're writing the page of the new page in the history of Cameroon, and all we are asking is simply your participation, your contribution, and your support.
Barrister Ari Obenson, Barrister at Law, Chief Executive Officer of Transformating and co-founder Project C. Thank you so much for joining us in this edition of Talking Points. And that's it for today. Do have a nice weekend in the company of our programs. God bless Cameroon. Goodbye.